Establishing wide shot of peaceful small town at sunset. Imagine sitting in a quiet room, the world rushing by outside, and suddenly realizing that one small shift in your heart could change everything. What if I told you that a simple thank you isn't just polite, it's a superpower that can heal wounds you didn't even know you had? Today, let's dive into a story that shows the true power of a thankful heart and how it brought peace to a life torn apart. Jack enters the scene, back view on porch. Let me take you back to a small town nestled between rolling hills, where the sunsets painted the sky in soft oranges and pinks. There lived a man named Jack. Jack was in his mid-40s, with a kind face lined by years of hard work. He wasn't rich, but he had enough, a cozy home, a loving wife named Sarah, and 2 kids who filled the house with laughter. Jack worked as a mechanic at the local garage, fixing cars from dawn till dusk. He loved his job, or at least he used to. But over time, life started feeling like a grind. Close-up of Jack's face, tired, distant. You see, Jack had grown up in a family that struggled. His parents worked multiple jobs just to keep food on the table. As a kid, he promised himself he'd never let his family go through that. So, he pushed hard. He saved every penny, took extra shifts, and built a stable life. But somewhere along the way, he forgot to pause and appreciate it all. Mornings were rushed, grabbing coffee without a second thought for the warm bed he'd left. Evenings were spent worrying about bills, ignoring the smiles from his kids as they shared their day. There's always more to do, he'd mutter to himself. Gratitude. That felt like a luxury he couldn't afford. Jack walking alone on a path. Sarah noticed it first. She'd say, "Jack, look at what we have. The kids are healthy, the roof doesn't leak. We're blessed." But he'd brush it off. "Blessings don't pay the rent," he'd reply, his voice tired. Deep down, Jack carried a quiet resentment. Why did others seem to have it easier? Why wasn't his hard work enough? It was like a shadow creeping over his heart, making everything feel heavier. Symbolic object, old notebook. Then came the storm. It started small, a nagging cough that Jack ignored. Just a cold, he thought. But one crisp autumn morning, as he was under a car at the garage, his chest tightened like a vice. He collapsed, tools clattering around him. The ambulance ride was a blur of sirens and fear. At the hospital, the doctor sat him down. "Heart attack, Jack. You're lucky to be alive. Stress is killing you from the inside." Conflict or struggle moment, Jack in bed. The news hit like a thunderclap. Jack was out of work for months. Bills piled up, the savings dwindled. Sarah took on extra hours at her nursing job, coming home exhausted. The kids tiptoed around the house, their laughter muted. Jack lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, his mind a whirlwind of anger and regret. "Why me?" he'd whisper in the dark. "I've worked so hard. What did I do to deserve this?" The pain wasn't just in his chest anymore, it was in his soul. He felt broken, like life had betrayed him. Friends stopped by with casseroles and well wishes, but Jack pushed them away. "I don't need pity," he'd snap. Emotional turning point, Jack on porch in snow. Nights were the worst. Alone with his thoughts, Jack replayed his life. The promotions he chased but never celebrated. The family vacations skipped for just one more project. The simple joys, like watching his son score a goal at soccer or holding Sarah's hand on a walk, that slipped by unnoticed. Resentment turned to bitterness, and bitterness to despair. He argued with Sarah over little things, his frustration spilling out. "How are we supposed to survive this?" he'd yell. She'd cry quietly, saying, "We have each other, Jack. That's something." But he couldn't hear it. His heart, once strong, now felt like a stone, cold and unyielding. One evening, as winter snow blanketed the town, Jack hit rock bottom. He sat on the porch, bundled in a blanket, watching flakes drift down. The world looked peaceful, but inside him raged a storm. "What's the point?" he thought. "I've lost everything." That's when an old memory surfaced, like a whisper from the past. His grandmother, who raised him after his parents passed young. She was poor, but always thankful. Every night, she'd gather the family and say, Let's name 3 things we're grateful for today. Even on tough days, she'd find something: a warm meal, a kind neighbor, the sun rising again. Hopeful shift, Jack on porch at dawn. Jack hadn't thought of that in years. Why had he stopped? Tears stung his eyes as he realized how far he'd strayed. In that quiet moment, under the falling snow, something cracked open inside him. The climax of his pain wasn't the heart attack, it was this raw, honest reckoning. He felt the weight of all he'd taken for granted crashing down. "I've been so blind," he murmured. For the first time, he let the tears flow, releasing the pent-up anger. It was terrifying, like facing a mirror that showed every flaw. But in that vulnerability, a spark ignited. What if he tried it? What if he started thanking instead of resenting? Jack smiling with peace, at family dinner table. The next morning, Jack woke with a fragile resolve. He pulled out an old notebook and wrote, "Today, I'm thankful for waking up. For Sarah's smile. For the snow that makes everything new." It felt awkward at first, like exercising a muscle long unused. But he kept at it. At breakfast, he looked his family in the eyes. "Thank you," he said to Sarah, "for holding us together." Her eyes widened, then softened with tears. To the kids, "I'm grateful for your hugs, they mean the world." As days turned to weeks, something shifted. Jack started small rituals. Each evening, the family shared gratitudes around the dinner table, just like his grandmother. "I'm thankful for Dad's stories," his daughter said one night. Jack's heart swelled. He returned to work part-time, but now with a lighter step. Instead of grinding through, he'd pause to appreciate the hum of the garage, the camaraderie with co-workers. The bills still came, but worry didn't consume him. "We'll figure it out," he'd say, and mean it. Final resolution, Jack on hilltop at sunrise. Miraculously, peace settled in. Not the absence of problems, but a calm amid the chaos. Jack's health improved. Doctors said his stress levels dropped. But more than that, his relationships bloomed. Sarah laughed more, the kids opened up. Even strangers noticed his warmth. One day, a customer at the garage shared his own struggles, and Jack listened, then said, "Try being thankful for the little things. It changed my life." Looking back, Jack realized the heart attack wasn't a curse, it was a wake-up call. He found peace not in having more, but in cherishing what was already there. His thankful heart became a shield against life's storms, turning resentment into joy. Abstract symbolic, open door to light. So, my friend, what's one thing you're thankful for right now? Pause and feel it. Life's not about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about finding beauty in the imperfect ones. A thankful heart doesn't just bring peace, it invites it in, like an old friend. Carry that with you today, and watch how it transforms your world. Abstract symbolic, path to horizon. If this story touched you, hit that like button, subscribe for more tales that inspire, and share your own gratitude in the comments. Until next time, keep your heart open.